Welcome to Vegas Circle Podcast with your hosts, Paki and Chris. We are people who are passionate about business, success, and culture, and this is our platform to showcase the people in our city who make it happen. On today's podcast, we're going to be delving into the journey of what it takes to become a professional DJ and how to build a successful agency with the founder and CEO of Mac Agency. We got Mr. Eddie McDonald, man. So welcome to the Circle, brother.
Hey, fellas. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Man. Appreciate it.
So big fan of you for a long time, man. I got a chance to see you recently at, which you didn't know this, but at Shaq's fundraiser. I know. So my wife and I were there for the second year. You and DJ Pee Wee and
of course.
Anderson .Paak. So you guys killed that.
That was fun. It was like a half-hour set. Usually, like especially with the vinyl, like the short sets, and there's so much music to explore. So it's always a challenge. Like, okay, what's going to make the cut? Yeah. That was so much fun.
It was. Yeah.
Oh, man. But it flowed really well. And then Shaq coming out and doing the leave the door open with him. That was great.
It was hilarious. Amazing. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about just being a nightlife veteran, right? So that was where your start was. From my understanding, in New York City, you were a DJ, right? That's how you started off in New York City?
Yeah, I started as a DJ probably maybe freshman year in high school, but before that, but really started to dig into it probably freshman year in high school, like 92 or so, 91.
Okay.
And landed my first residency in New York in 1998 in Soho at a place called Jet Lounge. It was a really kind of like a little bougie, like hard to get in kind of spot, which I knew nothing about that at the time. I was just like, oh, you want to pay me that much money to go play records? And, you know, and that led me to the Hamptons. That company was very enterprising and had a lot of venues, and that's what led me to Las Vegas when they came out here and started the Light Group.
Yeah, and at that time, DJing was vastly different than it is now, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, evolved and grew in a totally different beast at this moment. Originally, as you're kind of growing and coming into your own in New York, what kind of led you to, one, find that as something you wanted to do, and then, continue to develop your craft and something that was kind of new at that time?
Yeah, well, obviously, a love for music is at the heart of it all, and it should always be at the heart of it all. I mean, it kind of changes, and people, see all these flashy things on social media and stuff. But if you're really not, you don't have that at the core of what drives you to want to become a DJ, you're missing something, and you're missing an integral and very necessary part. But so obviously my love for music, rummaging through my parents' record collection, loved the music that they turned me on to. It was a lot of Motown in the house and a lot of some good like funky style classic rock type stuff. But and then I just kind of broadened my horizons from the foundation that those records and just the stuff that I would hear around the house offered me. And then went and explored and created my own path and my own journey. But really, like in grammar school, my best friend at the time, Brian Schmittler, we would go to grammar school dances, and the DJ was this guy, John Rosado. And he was the coolest guy ever. Like we looked up to him for better or worse. I don't know. I mean, because he was a piece of work. But I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I really want to do this. And I buckled down and saved every penny when I was, whether taking out the garbage at my mother's beauty salon or, delivering newspapers or whatever I was doing to make a couple of bucks, and, and went to Sound City in Bayonne, New Jersey, and started, when we could do layaway, if you remember layaway.
Yeah, of course.
$20 here, a little $5 here, and eventually I had my entry-level DJ setup with my belt drive Gemini turntables and got it all, and I pursued that path ever since. My friend Brian at the time explored different avenues and career choices in life, but I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. It was it had led me to Vegas. It opened up a whole different world for me, and I'm thankful for it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and I love the company name, right? We were talking about that offline.
Yeah.
So Mac Agency actually stands for Music Artist Connection.
Correct.
Right? So how did you come up with that name? Because it's a great name. Yeah,
it's
great branding.
Quite honestly, if I can keep it 100.
I love the honesty. Yeah,
I was intoxicated, and I was just like, I was in the studio, and I was like, something clicked in my head, and one of my close friends, Jason Ojeda, who owns like this company called Global Audio Systems, he said to me years ago, he's like, you know what, Eddie, you should just start an agency. You know so many DJs, you got a great network, people like you. Yeah. But at the time I was DJing in Vegas maybe 5 nights a week. I was making good money, and I wasn't there yet, but I kept it in my back pocket. And I was in the studio. I had a record label at the time, me and DJ Mighty My, but somehow I was like, you know what? my workflow in the studio was shit. It took me forever to make a song, and it just wasn't. I was like, all right, this might not be like
It for
my thing. I mean, I love it, and I want to be better at it, and I'm just like, maybe I'll explore the that. And I'm like, out of nowhere, I was like, Eddie Mac. People call me Eddie Mac. MAC. Is there some kind of what was the term? I got it wrong.
Acronym.
An acronym.
Yeah,
It escapes me all the time. An acronym. I was like, oh, MAC, Music Artist Connection. Yeah, we're connecting people to music artists. I'm like, it's a little on the nose, but it had a vibe to it. And I was like, and the whole MAC thing. But I'm like, I have a feeling if this is the name I choose, people are just going to call it they're going to just call it Mac Agency. And it turned out like we changed the logo. We brought Peter Payne in to do this cool kind of street art style sign paint. Yeah, he's a beast. So brought him in to kind of give us a whole new look, set up the DBA. And we're now known to everybody as Mac Agency, and it definitely has a cool ring to it.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Yeah.
And what being in Vegas, right? It's definitely a DJ. I would say Mecca, and like in America in general, probably not the world. Like here, I can only think of maybe 2 or 3 places better than Vegas in that dynamic.
Yeah.
How do you find that high quality talent here? And then, what is the threshold between somebody who's at entry level and that next tier to kind of continue to develop and nurture them?
Yeah, I mean, there is, I'm a firm believer in crawling before you walk, going through all the stages to develop yourself as an artist in the DJ booth, learning, especially in Vegas. Don't pigeonhole yourself into one style of music. If you love house music, great. You better be in the studio, though. Because to survive in Vegas is just to stand at like the house music events. Yeah, you got your EDM and all that stuff. But like if you want to do some deeper stuff, the opportunities aren't as abundant as they are in the open format world. I mean, open format rules out here. But, everybody again, the social media stuff and the accessibility, everybody sees this cool stuff going on. I want to DJ now. Yeah, okay, but you should really approach it the right way. What I said before is like music should be at the core. Your love for music and your desire to want to share it with people and hopefully put smiles on people's faces should be the driving force, not getting ass. I mean, that's a perk at times if you're looking for it. I mean, but that should not be your driving force to be a DJ, nor should just the accolades and all this stuff. I mean, but that's my take on it. I like everything to be done with integrity, substance, and sincerity. So that's what I would tell the DJs. Like, you're not gonna headline, Omnia like right out the gate. You got to do some lounge gigs, do some shit. I mean, I used to strap a coffin with turntables and a mixer onto my grandfather's Hyundai, put the seat belts through the handles, and it would be on the top of my car, and I'd drive my little car with a big box on the top, illegal as hell, to a gig and carry all the records and set up the amps and do all this stuff. And it's grunt work, but you know what? It builds you. It builds. It's just that's the path I would have never have done it any other way. And it was the only way to do it back then for a while. I mean, you had to be on your music. You had to have a budget for record shopping, and it wasn't cheap. I mean, so what you can get for 99 cents on Beatport now would be about $11 a rip for each record if you would buy an import. So it was definitely, and a lot of us just broke even. You needed a backup plan. You needed you had to be a side hustle unless you were doing something really special where even after the record shopping, you can net a profit after your vinyl hunting, addiction, so.
Real. Well, what I was going to ask you about is like, basically you're finding this talent, right? Do you sign them like the music industry would be, like where you actually sign them as a contract on your agency? Is that how it works, and you kind of broker the deals for them, or how does it work?
Again, I have no problem saying this. We don't have anybody under contract. There's no paperwork on any DJs. My goal is to keep our DJs, or the majority of them at least, so busy that they won't have time to work with anybody else. And luckily, at least in the Vegas market, we have enough opportunity that we can make that happen for a lot of our talent. So we kind of do things a little bit different. Like whereas some of our sister agencies would kind of call and say, hey, what do you got? You got anything for this DJ or that DJ? Luckily, we've been blessed to be able to control and book the entire calendars. Like a venue would say, well, these are the nights we want DJs, and you book them all. Yeah. And that's times a solid amount of venues. We're probably approaching probably 25 or so venues that we program exclusively in Vegas, and we've just broke probably 400 bookings a month just in Vegas. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. It's an
That's a
ongoing.
lot, man. I
It's
didn't
a
realize
lot,
you guys had that
man.
big. Yeah, that's
It's a lot.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
shows you Vegas just in general. 400
yeah.
bookings
No,
a month.
yeah, per I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's the most densely populated market as far as like DJ shifts go. I mean, it's
Yep.
pretty insane. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably, I would say it's probably at the top with, I mean, you got competing more, Miami's very DJ heavy and stuff. And, New York's making a big comeback and their presence in the nightlife world and stuff. So that's good. But Vegas, I've never seen anything like it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They'll book a DJ for the opening of a soda can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
That's why I think I love so much about Vegas, man.
Yeah,
It's how
I
you
love it.
Go to these restaurants now and they got a DJ in there, like
Yeah.
wherever it is.
it's always elevating these experiences. It's not,
Yeah.
the dining experience has evolved. And, I mean, if it's not a DJ, it's a very personally curated selection of overhead music being provided by, it's not just like, let's throw this CD on or throw the radio on. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like on a whole different level now. So luckily DJing is a part of that landscape as well. So
Yeah, and you kind of this business model seems very connection oriented. Hence
Yeah.
the kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
name. And is it, is there a lot of competition in that space that people that are trying to vie for the same DJs that you're going after? And then also, how did you kind of develop that business model to be able to make it profitable for you?
we're learning as we go, man. it went really fast, and I didn't have a whole strategy in mind. I knew I wanted to book DJs because, it got me out of the DJ booth. And when I found myself kind of hitting a wall and just loving the art of DJing, but not really loving a lot of the music not that it was bad, it's just I didn't connect to it. And I didn't want to share stuff that I didn't connect to just for a paycheck. So again, it goes back to that sincerity, that integrity, like just kind of like being about it and doing it for all the right reasons. And if it starts to feel like if you're in a DJ booth and you're having panic attacks, which I was having anxiety attacks, and I was just like, I'm dreading this right now. It's not the DJ, it's not the art of DJing
anymore.
fault,
Yeah.
but it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
Yep.
this might be the time to pivot. So I just started it, and we landed the spot in Philly, Stratus Lounge, booked that for a while, and then was able to land our first account in Vegas was the Dorsey at Venetian, which is now Juliet Cocktail Room that
they just rebranded
Ryan Labby's doing. Yeah. But again, I was doing everything on my own. I'm cutting checks. I'm like, smoking a joint at home. I'm like, I had no office really. I'm just learning as I go.
Yeah.
I know how to cut a check. I know how to send an invoice. Okay, got the basics down. You fast forward to, late 2018 or so, and shit got crazy. I mean, my close friend and mentor, Sean Christie, had left Wynn, took a position with MGM Resorts International to be executive vice president of events and nightlife, and built a whole team of guys that I've collaborated with over the years under him. And I met with him like the week he started at MGM. We had a great chat, and he started throwing some stuff my way, and then some more stuff. On the Record now opens, and now booking DJs here. I'm like, oh shit, man.
Yeah.
This is a lot of work. And then I brought in, our old friend that we used to work with at Light Group to help me with some accounting. She's like, who was doing this prior to you hiring me? I said, me. She's like, you were doing all of these invoices, all of these checks, all the payables, receivables. I said, me. She's like, I don't know how you're doing it. I'm dizzy from all this shit right now.
Yeah.
Then I found another need for just more manpower, another set of hands, eyes, ears, just brain capacity. And the stars aligned. I ran into an old friend and colleague, Omar Galliano, who I knew from back in New York. We kind of had very similar career paths. Him being with the Strategic Group, which is now the Tao Group, Jason Strauss and Noah Teppenberg, in Manhattan, in the Hamptons. And I was with Andrew Sasson in Manhattan and in the Hamptons. We were sister properties, basically, that were so close. I came out here pretty early. As far as like the East Coast migration of hospitality personnel and DJs, I was pretty early on that. Omar came out, opened up Tao, became their corporate program director. We didn't see each other a whole lot over the years, but we always knew each other. And then I ran into him at On the Record. And as we're saying goodbye, I'm like, yo, this is like, what are you doing? Turn around. I'm like, oh, what are you doing now? Well, I'm doing some consultant work, San Diego, blah, 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 looking to do some stuff. I said, let's meet up in the office. I just got an office. I share an office with our friend John Schechter, Shecky Green, who's an old time friend, and like basically, and he has a company that does all the overhead music that I'm talking. So when there's not a DJ, you're probably hearing Playback Prodigy. Yeah, and it's like it's to have, you know, he's co-founder of the Source magazine, very resourceful, very musical, very knowledgeable guy, and he. We always would pride ourselves. Our first office was like this little corner office right on Dean Martin, little tiny unsuspecting place. So I'm like, there's so much music that you hear in this town that comes from this little 600 square foot space. And we really always prided ourselves on that. But Omar and I met up, spoke, caught up for about 4 hours, decided to give it a go. And the rest is history. We're now 4 years later, and we're still rocking and rolling and still learning as we go. As we get more business, we got to figure out new systems to try and make the calendar, the venue programming as efficient as it can be without sucking up so much of our time to do other things too. I mean, but it's also it's what we are. But, you know, especially now, you know, since 2020, since 22, you know, we picked up some significantly elevated talent. So we have all the blue collar stuff going on with the local and regional DJs grinding it out in the lounges and the restaurants and stuff, and that keeps us so busy. But we also have, you know, the DJ Pee-wees of the world and Mayor Hawthorne now that we have to really, you know, go to work for and you know, and that's it. So it's like we're at another, you know, pivotal moment in the company where it's, you know, in order to grow, we need some more personnel. We got to figure something out, and we will, because we figured it out all along. It's been fun learning. Yeah. We took our lumps when we needed to, but we learned from them. We've always learned from, the challenging moments, whether in the DJ booth or in the office programming DJs, there's always a silver lining. Yeah. So
is the vinyl, so talk a little about that, right? So you have, vinyl is completely separate, right? That was something that you were really trying to focus on, right? Because you have the regular DJs that are using the computers and things like that, and then you got what we call the real
DJs. Depends on how you see. See, I like the regular DJs to me might be the
So that's what I was curious, right? Because your perspective, right? Because you come from that background of, that's the foundation, right? The foundation is you're playing vinyl, and that's the real DJ compared to now, right? Yeah. Was that kind of like your business plan to bring the vinyl back to big?
No. Okay. It was always present in my world as a DJ that came from the vinyl era, but also as a guy that just truly enjoys collecting records and holding them and smelling them and reading the liner notes and whatever. I love it. And then. So that was always there. That wasn't what I set why I started the agency. The majority of the talent that we work with is pretty much exclusively digital, but I realize, there's a huge resurgence of vinyl, popularity of vinyl. I mean, you can go record shopping at Urban Outfitters, you can go record shopping at the airport, you can go, it's crazy. And vinyl sales have really increased about, I mean,
since the pandemic, right?
Significantly. They're the highest they've been in like 2 decades. Yeah. So, upon a glance, and obviously, so when Anderson started DJing, he wanted to do exclusively vinyl as DJ Pee-wee. I love it. If I ever parted with my vinyl, like a lot of my colleagues have done, like, we're going to digitize everything and, put it on Discogs or something like that and just go straight digital, for whatever reason. I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't. I don't have that in me to part with my records. Okay. They're such a big part of my life. So if I ever got rid of that, I wouldn't have had this amazing opportunity with Anderson, so I'm really thankful for vinyl in so many ways. It connected me with my favorite artist in the last several decades, and it's a surreal opportunity. But we look at our roster and we're like, okay, we got guys on it. We got Easy Mo B. He only plays vinyl. I mean, he's legendary producer. He's like the only producer to have worked with Biggie and Pac. He did almost the whole Ready to Die album and a bunch of stuff from Life After Death too, as well as he worked with Miles Davis. Lost Boys. He did Craig Mack, Flavor in Your Ear, but he's straight. He's all vinyl, all vinyl, and so good. And I connected with him during Shutdown. He does a great stream, and he still does it, called the Time Machine Sessions, and it's deep house, rare grooves, disco. It's such a dope. You're
speaking
mix.
My lane.
He's great.
I'm gonna check him out for sure.
And luckily we had the opportunity to connect and put him on the site and efforts to make some moves and stuff. But he's all vinyl. We got Stretch Armstrong, who's still very much in that world, in the 45 world.
I don't know Stretch, but I know because of the name.
Scratch Bastard, Nick Bike, who's one of the younger guys on the squad from Canada, who just like this masterful remixer, and it does a lot of stem edits, but he's very much in that. I'm like, we have a lot. Long story short is, we have a lot of vinyl DJs that carry weight, that are talented as fuck. Yeah. And I'm like, and vinyl's very popular, so why don't we kind of
really
create this little sub roster within Mac? And so, you know, several weeks ago, we announced the Mac agency, Mac Vinyl Collective, MVC. Okay. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be pursuing opportunities, whether it's, you know, audio, like audiophile lounges, listening bars, stuff like Dante's Hi-Fi in Miami, or I'm trying to think of some of the other names. You know, you got the Gold Line Bar, which is Peanut Butter Wolf's place in L.A. It's very hot.
Very strategic.
And it's like, but also in addition to that, there's a lot of people that like want to do vinyl that it's just not presented well. So we want to offer service and some guidance and some consultant work to some venues that want to do it. And we'll know what parameters to explore. I mean, we're not going to try and be too cool for school if it's going to just go way over some people's heads. But we also want to get rid of like kind of, you know, avoid the kind of generic approach to a vinyl night, you know, the vinyl sessions, or the like something like that. Like, give it a little style, give it some swag and stuff like that, and work with venues like that. We always want to. We don't want to just plug DJs in. We really, truly want to partner with the venues that give us the opportunity to book talent with them. And, you know, and we have some exciting stuff coming up, like, you know, with the Durango opening up. There's going to be a lot.
You're going to be part of that too, right?
Yeah. I mean, with my old friends, Click Hospitality, Andy Massey's company, I moved out here for Light Group, and it was Andy Massey and Andrew Sasson. So it's so great to be working with him and the team again. So they have a couple of places opening up. One place is exclusively vinyl, and the other is going to be, and that's 5 nights a week.
I'm gonna talk with you offline. We were just there. We just
you did?
I'll tell you
it's
some
beautiful.
Stuff offline.
I walked it a couple of weeks ago. Really,
we were just there. So I know what's going on
really
there.
nice. Yeah. So,
but they're doing some amazing stuff. I wanted to step back just a little bit. How did you meet Anderson .Paak? I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah,
and I've seen you guys collab a lot on playing the vinyl, and I've seen you guys in the act to be able to do it. But how'd you guys meet?
Dude, it's like
he's
the most insane.
He's a hell of a talent.
If you had like, I question people's eardrums if they don't have some kind of connection, because he checks all the boxes, man. If you love hip hop, he's got it for you. If you love R&B and soul, he's got it for you. If you love musicality and just musicianship, he's got it. He's one of the baddest drummers. And I'm like, this is it. I'm like, this is what the world needs, is more artists like this. I've been saying it long before he and I ever met. So we first met at Alibi, very much in passing. Oh, nice to meet you.
Aria?
Came by, at Aria.
Yep.
So the way give you the Cliff's Notes version. So I was DJing at Alibi. His song "Come Down" came out, and I was playing I just fell in love with it. I mean, he did a remix with T.I., and I would play that. That was like my favorite record to drop. Whether people knew it or not, didn't care. I'm like, this is my shit.
Yeah.
And then, like, at Alibi at the time, all the executives would be kind of at the same table right next to the DJ booth all the time. And it's all MGM. This was like the old guard of MGM. So, like, I've been working with these guys on and off since early 2000. So I loved it. Mm-hmm. Bobby Baldwin, Bob Mancarey, they were like all the big dogs right there. And one night I'm playing Come Down, and Bob Mancarey stands up, Eddie, who the fuck sings this song? I said, Anderson .Paak. He's like, there. Huh?
Was he there in the room?
Was it AP?
Yeah.
He wasn't there at the time. No, he wasn't there. No, so I play it.
Yeah.
He's like, who the fuck sings this song? I said, Anderson .Paak. He's like, play it again. He's like, I'm going to book this fucking guy. I thought it was Jewel, but it was actually Hayes, the old, what Jewel used to be,
Hayes.
which was one of the last Light Group. It was a Light Group property, and I actually opened that place too. That was one of the final places I opened for Light Group before they kind of got bought out by Hakkasan Group. And lo and behold, he did. So I got to see AP perform. We still hadn't met. He came through Alibi one time in passing, quick handshake. That was it. You fast forward to post-pandemic 2022. You know, him and Bruno got together to do Silk Sonic over during that time. And my girlfriend, Soxy, told me, she's like, you know, Anderson .Paak just teamed up with Bruno Mars, and they're doing this, like, 70s retro thing called Silk Sonic. I said, you're kidding me. And then I see Leave the Door Open, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I saw them.
Everything.
When I saw their
like,
concert, it was unreal.
The aesthetic, just everything. The sonics, the look, the presentation was so true, so sincere, and such a proper homage or just inspiration of that era, which is a big era for me musically. And I'm like, holy shit, game over. Okay. We come out of COVID, On the Record opens back up. Boom, Silk Sonic, because Bruno's very close with the MGM
right. Yep.
team for years. Like he's been doing his 24 Karat show for years, and he's been like MGM family for so long. And they bought the Silk Sonic residency to what used to be Park Theater is now Dolby Live. Mm-hmm. At Park MGM. I'm like, you gotta be, and we got the after party at On the Record, which I booked the entertainment, the DJs for. I'm like, let's fucking go. I'm like, this is great. Yeah. But still, I'm like, this is just cool shit. Decorated the whole place, decked out, all Silk Sonic stuff all over the place. I'm like, this is sick. So, we have a little speakeasy called the Vinyl Parlor On the Record. Oh. It's hidden behind a wall of cassette tapes. It holds maybe 40 people.
Oh, I've been in there.
You go in there, there's records all up on the wall.
Yep.
And I said,
such a cool little, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
So it's such a cool room. So I said, I was just like, right now we have 2 rooms with DJs, but we have this third room, this Vinyl Parlor thing that's such a nod to that analog era. I said, we should, at least for these Silk Sonic after parties, have a DJ in there playing 45s and playing vinyl. So I just went, I pulled, the powers that be at MGM and On the Record, my buddy Alex. I said, I'm gonna purchase a DJ booth for that room. And I went looking for DJ booths that'll fit turntables and a little mixer, battle style. And I found one. It wasn't too much money. It was like $350. Looked good. Had my boy, print out some Silk Sonic decals and I'm like, all right, then I'm just going to DJ. And I'm like, fuck it. I mean, I'll play 45s and play music that I love. And I know it's going to be a vibe because that crowd, that's like a crowd that, you can have a little kid, their big sister, big brother, mother, grandmother, the entire family, and everybody will know that. So I'm like, it's got that energy. So I said, let's do it. I said, I'm not going to charge anything for this. I just want to make sure my concept works like the way I know it's going to work. Then the very first night, I set it up. Very first night, one of the partners with Houston Brothers Hospitality, Dave Weiss, he texted Andy, and he texted him a picture, and Andy hit him right back. He's like, "Oh hell yeah, I'm pulling up." And he pulled up. Like an hour later, came on, played records for 2 hours, and then like the next day, I got put on text with him. And he was just like, yo, he's like, thank you so much for letting me do that. I haven't DJ'd since high school. I love this shit. He's like, do you mind if I come? That was on a Wednesday. He's like, do you mind if I come back and rock on Saturday? And I said, yeah, absolutely. But he played all 45s. So he's like, I never really DJ'd with the 45s before. I said, say no more. I said, I'll build you cases of 12-inch vinyl. I said, if you wanted to send me some playlists, I said, just because of the music that the sound I hear coming out of you, I think I kind of know a good amount of stuff to pull that inspires you, that you connect with. But he sent me a couple of Apple Music playlists that were very helpful too. And that next day I built him like 5 boxes of records that were waiting for him. He pulled up. We took everybody's phones, locked them up in a Yonder case. Bruno pulled up, was like the MC of the night. And it was 40 people. It's like, I was like, wow, okay. And I'm like, okay, that was dope. Okay.
How to keep doing this?
Kept going, and then I get a call from an LA number, and it was girls like, oh, this is Crystal Miles. I work with Anderson .Paak at Pack House, and I don't know if you know, but we've been booking DJ gigs for him, and he wants to know if you'd be down to tour to travel with him to some of these gigs. And I'm like, let me check my schedule. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't have to really think about it. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And that. Our first gig out of Vegas, we did something for Soho House during Coachella. It was Soho Desert House. That was the first outside of Vegas set. And I was like, oh, we got that. We got this LA thing coming up, and then we have a gig in New York. The LA thing was the Hollywood Bowl for Netflix as a Joke Festival, like with Dave Chappelle and Erykah Badu.
Yeah, I saw. Okay.
and then actually the show after the one we did, it was a few days. And then Dave's show the next day is when they tackled this guy that was trying to like attack. Some shit.
Yep.
And then the New York gig turned out to be the Met Gala, and I'm like, I got thrown into this world. I'm like, what is? And everything's happening so fast, and I'm like, wow, my head's spinning in like the best possible way you could ever imagine. And it just hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. That was March of 22. And I just got back from Miami.
So this is just last year?
This is just last year. I haven't even.
Wow.
Yeah, March will be 2 years working with AP and his team.
Y'all killing
And
it.
yeah, we just got back from Miami last night. You know,
What a
we
great
just-
feeling to be prepared for that moment. Like you've been working all this time trying to get ready to
and
go,
yeah.
and the minute you
and
go,
it couldn't have happened with like, I wouldn't have been so fast to give an answer if it wasn't for that man, like
That's
for
funny,
Anderson.
yeah.
You know, I
It's
mean,
like
it was
kismet
such because like when we did it, like it was fluid the way it happened. Like we got our systems in place. We kind of knew, like it just flowed so well. I'm like, this is like the most insane shit, and then the most natural, like
Organic
shit. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
When you can be able to do that. When you put together just organic relationships, they always float the best way.
Yeah, no,
so
and
it's
it
not
was
forced.
Yeah, no, it wasn't at
Yeah.
all. It was really, really beautiful, man, and it's been quite a ride so far. And looking forward for all the future
going.
moves with the wee man. Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious, like just for your perspective, right? Because you've been around, right? Like you just said, Miami, New York City. Let's say you were to say to somebody coming to Vegas, what would you tell them to go to be able to vibe and be able to listen to, this style music? Like, where would you point them to?
Well, I mean,
be able to vibe?
although I would come off biased, but I mean, it's really not about this at all. But I think I'm really proud about what we built it on the record.
On the record's a nice spot. Yeah.
It's great because it fills in the blanks. I mean, every place that opens in Vegas, you get those 21 to 25-year-old girls dancing, and that's fine. That's great. And the guys will come, this, that, and the other. But there's a demographic that I feel is grossly overlooked. It's the, 35 and older or something. We got money. Like, there's money they want to spend. They just don't want to feel like completely out of place, like getting cakes thrown at them and stuff like that. And that's fine. That's just not their energy, But where you're going to hear all this stuff. There's other music that we can play, It should be okay to play like an old Biggie record or, still play Michael in some of the main rooms. But on the record, we still do that. We still do the new stuff too, but we have that backyard and we do all the throwbacks. And so definitely, I would definitely say, although I'm deeply involved in the place, I would steer a lot of the people in my world to on the record. But if they say, "Hey, we're looking for some EDM vibes," I mean, there's a lot of places, that are really doing a great job. I mean, this is the home of mega clubs, man. I mean, Zouk, Omnia. I mean, mind blowing, sonic and sensory overload experiences happening. So there's plenty of options. But but also Park MGM in general. I mean, between the residencies that we've had, Janet Jackson. Obviously Bruno, and obviously Usher, who's the king of Las Vegas, man. So they've been just killing it.
Yeah.
The energy it's brought to the city has been great. We're lucky enough again to do the after parties with Usher and his team at On the Record. But and even you take Brian Newman After Dark. Brian is like Gaga's band leader, like trumpeter. Amazing show he does. Usually when Gaga's in town, but sometimes he comes in. And it's the closest thing I've seen to like some Rat Pack shit, like some real, like you don't know what's going to go on. It'll be Brian. Next thing you know, they're bringing like Robbie Krieger up from the Doors, or Gaga would pull up a lot and perform. Wow. And this is in Nomad Library. I mean, it's very intimate. So Gaga's right there, and all these surprises. A lot of jazz legends, Terrence Blanchard, Ronnie Foster, a lot of stuff that you just don't know what's going to happen. A burlesque component, and it's really cool. Yeah. So there's a lot of shit out here like that for everybody. Yeah. So but again, cool. I'm not trying to be totally biased, but there's a lot of cool shit happening in the park, which I'm very that's where I feel most.
No,
at home.
I gotta agree with you. Shout out to G Squared, friend of ours, friend of the show. He's invited me on the record multiple times. He got me to see Jada Kiss and all that. So
you came to the Jada show.
Yeah, went to the Jada show great, multiple times there, and everybody that we've told to check out have really enjoyed it. Just from the hip hop side, but it's very intimate. It's very intimate. And that room you were talking about is really cool.
It's great. Yeah. And it's not like so much stuff, not just in nightlife, but everything is just so polished and has to be flawless, like how it's so vibrant and stuff. Yeah. It's all right, throw a filter on it. It could be a little rough. And on the record, it's not like this glamorous place.
It's all these little speakeasies.
Looks kind of, you're in this little cave with exposed brick kind of facades and, but we've done, Mark Ronson and Questlove and Jazzy Jeff and on the live entertainment stuff we brought in, Red and Meth and Big Boy and Big Daddy Kane, KRS, like that's and we would pack the house. We did Nas, we did Ja Rule and all this stuff. And pack. There's a huge market for that stuff now too, and we definitely prided ourselves in kind of filling that gap where everything was either leaning towards kind of, the kind of current presentation of like hip hop vibes and stuff, which is fine. But that, not or just heavy
Still want to
duty
keep
EDM.
the core. Keep the core,
No, that's
which I
it.
love. Yeah.
There's that demographic. Like there's people like us that love
I love being
that.
able to do it on the record for 100%.
No doubt. Yeah.
With us, we be in Vegas circle, right? So we always talk about people in your circle.
Okay.
Who's in your circle that's made like the biggest impact for you and maybe speaking into your life?
Oh, sure. I mean, in my circle, especially in my Vegas circle, but Sean Christie's been such a huge influence, and he's just a wealth of knowledge, and he's always a phone call away if I need any advice on just general advice or just definitely business advice. And, he's built such a great thing with Carver Road Hospitality. They're just crushing it, just hit the ground running. We spoke about it all through shutdown. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this. Came to see our office. Do they want to stay? I'm like, oh, this is happening. And just hit the ground running with all the flanker openings that he's done. Salt Lake City, Arizona, now most recently Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay.
Okay.
So much stuff going on, man. So he's definitely, I would say he's at the top of my list. On the DJ tips, I mean, DJ Neva, who we just lost recently. He's been musically huge impact on me. Huge. Like getting to DJ with him got me to Vegas because I was at the time I was heavy on just doing house music, and I was like, this is what I want to do for that. That's it. I'm done.
Yep.
And got the opportunity to come play the original Light at Bellagio, and played, and I knew they didn't want just house all night. And what else? So I knew, watching Neva in the Hamptons, you could play Back in Black, you could play Sweet Home Alabama. This was that era too. Like we're approaching like that mashup era too, where everything was over Back in Black, or fucking Sweet Home Alabama is like the biggest record you could play. I'm like, okay. But if I hadn't gotten the opportunity and the privilege to watch him for those years back east, I wouldn't have had that, that template to like kind of structure a set and kind of make all these genres kind of, intertwine and kind of make sense of it all. Yeah. And that got me to Vegas. I mean, that was such a big part. And then, Justin Hoffman, another big musical influence on me, who's now still DJing. He does all the top rank fights for them,
and everything,
for Bob Arum, and so musically, those are two big guys for me. But business-wise, I mean, Sean Christie is probably like my sensei, close friend, and I'm thankful for all those people. But I would say, there's probably others, but I mean, those are the ones that just are so omnipresent in everything that I do, So
that's important to have the people that are there and they're willing to help you grow as you can deal with the challenges and try to grow to the next level. It seems extremely appreciated to have that. I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Also, just business advice in general. What would you say to somebody? Because now you've launched your own company, right? And now it's exploded for you, right?
Yeah, thankfully.
What would you say to somebody that wants to be a business owner or a small business owner and really wants to put their vision or dream, to paper and actually execute? What would you say to them?
Starve the ego. To quote an old DJ Am quote, I believe it was, starve the ego, feed the soul. Do it if it connects to you. It also connects to my departure or semi-departure from full-time DJing into the entrepreneur kind of world. Be driven by the right things. Don't follow the money. If you do things the right way, I'm definitely a firm believer in manifestation of things. And don't burn bridges. It's a small world. Whether you
especially
just
in Vegas,
especially in Vegas, shit,
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, I left Vegas in 2012. Yeah. I was hired by what was then Angel Management Group, which then, while I was in Atlantic City, I moved back to Jersey to Atlantic City. Angel Management Group during that time turned into Hakkasan Group. So I worked at their places in Atlantic City. We opened HQ, which is now called HQ2, and we had a beach club there and then like a center bar. I left there and I moved back. And the casino shut down. So as successful as the club was, and we were crushing it. I mean, we'd have, Avicii and Afrojack and all that. Like, this is 2011, 2012. So we're still in the throes of heavy EDM popularity and stuff like that. And the carpet kind of got pulled out from under us. I'm like, shit. Well, I'm like, it's great to be back on the East Coast and being close to friends and family. But, my big connections in my life. You know, I got to go back to Vegas, and thankfully, I never. I mean, because especially back then, between. You know, self-medicating with my issues with alcohol, or so just having myself in dark places, and still having a little bit of a Jersey temper that surfaces once in a while. Not so much now, but was then. I'm thankful that I didn't burn any bridges, because it was the same people that I could have easily kind of butted heads with that kind of welcomed me back and gave me opportunity. So that's it. I mean, it's and we're not just talking Vegas. I mean, the industry, any industry can be, this big and this big at the same time. So
for sure,
and so don't burn bridges. Be confident in what you're bringing to the table. Always be willing to learn, because I mean, I'm thankful we're still growing. We still have this amazing trajectory. I'm thankful for it, but like I said, I'm still learning, man. I don't have this I don't have this recipe where it's like I'm a good relationship guy. I love meeting new people and growing my network. Not with any kind of ulterior motive. I mean, there's always that trickling, not ulterior motive, but there is some drive behind certain people that I want to, network with. But that's it, man.
There's so many good people in the world, man, especially Vegas, like with us. Chris and I, when we started this 5 years ago, is you meet so many awesome people here, and we want to shed a light on that. So I get it.
No, it's great what you guys are doing.
No, I appreciate. So we always ask everybody about restaurants in Vegas. What's your favorite restaurant? Give us a gem of a restaurant
Asking
in Vegas.
The 12-year vegan.
You're a vegan, so you might give us something we don't know.
November 29th, 2011,
Congrats,
I gave up meat and dairy and leather and wool and all that stuff. So
you got to give us a good one then.
Okay. See, it's tough because there's so many good restaurants, but I as I continue to not only learn and grow in the business world, I'm constantly trying to make tweaks to, my self-love and well-being. And my girlfriend's a big influence on me, Soxy, Michelle. So she, we fine-tune it even more. We're almost exclusively organic. Now, the whole seed oil thing, we're hearing all the stuff about that shit. So it's like... constantly striving for this perfect restaurant that's plant-based, that's organic,
it's
that's
hard,
that avoids seed oils and overly processed stuff. I mean, I'm 46 now, I'll be 47. I'm starting to, when everybody's like, oh, it's harder to lose once you get older. I'm in that mode right now, and I can eat all the kale I want, but there's something that has to give. So I got to further audit what I'm ingesting, and she's been very helpful with that. And but okay. My favorite restaurant in Vegas. Shit, man. It's kind of tough. I mean, I'm very thankful for Crossroads Kitchen, which is...
I haven't heard of that one.
That's that's at Resorts World. It's the first vegan restaurant that's ever existed on the Strip. So it's kind of a monumental... It was a big deal for me, and I'm there on occasion. I treat myself from time to time. We'll go out there, or we'll get takeout and stuff.
Yep.
Great, just for what they bring to the Strip. Yeah, that's probably if I had to choose.
Crossroads. Nobody's ever said that before. So I'm familiar with that.
Oh, good. All right.
That's good.
Have you ever had a vegan on before?
That's true. You're probably right.
We have to cross-reference that.
I like that idea because you got to eat healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with that. But there's also a lot of non-vegan restaurants that offer great plant-based menus. I mean, my friend Jonathan owns El Dorado Cantina. They do some great plant-based options. You have, Toca Madera over at Crystals, and they have a great plant-based menu. So I guess that's it. I guess my options are a little bit more limited than others. I mean, prior to that, pre-V,
I get it.
I mean, shit. I mean, I was when I first moved out here, I loved Delmonico Steakhouse, which is old. That's the old school shit. Then I mean, with Light Group, I mean, Fix and Stack were mainstays with us. Always that great that industry energy.
I'm actually disappointed Fix can't.
Fix
I actually really like that spot.
I know.
It was a good spot all the time. I love that spot.
Good spot. That was a Light Group spot, and those were probably my favorites.
Well, you gave us a good one, man. I've never heard of Crossroads.
Good. All right. I'm glad I was there. All right. Shout out to Crossroads. Yeah.
What else is on your list, man? Eddie, what else is in the future, man? I know you're going to continue to try to work with Anderson and DJ Pee Wee and the whole nine. What else are you trying to accomplish for 2024?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of other little lanes to explore. Like I mentioned, we're going to be we're working on some merch stuff now. we got a really good crew that we teamed up with, Francis, and unfortunately the company name's just escaping me, but I just met him for the first time today.
Awesome.
We're going to launch Mac Wax, which is going to be a record label that's going to showcase a lot of the work. I don't know about exclusively, but a lot of the work of our DJs who are in the studio making stuff, print up, do some 45s, do some 12-inch
that's pretty cool.
stuff.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
And God, I mean, who knows? I mean, probably other stuff. I just don't know yet.
Keep collabing. I see you pop up on everybody. So that's good.
Yeah.
Good
and then,
stuff.
You know, and just, getting the opportunity to work with more artists. I mean, the Pee Wee stuff has kind of opened up a whole world for us and put sets of eyes on us that weren't there before. So again, thankful for AP and the whole crew, and we're really excited. We don't know what's to come. There's more shit. Keep an eye out, and we're excited for whatever it's going to be. So
no, for our listeners, definitely check them out because I had a great time. I've seen you guys twice now together, and
I'm glad you were at that
Shaq
really
show,
good energy, the Shaq Foundation show. That was fun.
Really fun. So, but we support you, man, and check us out. What is anything that we forgot to ask you at all that you want to share that we lead us out on?
No, I think we covered. I mean, I know one thing I'll just say, and in regards to business and starting a company, always stay ahead of the curve a little bit as best as possible. Like, we all got hit hard with the pandemic. Yeah. And if you're just going to have the attitude of just sitting on your hands or playing video games and waiting for the world to get back to normal, you're going to be left in the dust. Because there are going to be people, I mean, not tooting but like myself, and it's not what I did. Yeah. We pivoted and we took lemons and made lemonade, and we turned our office into a studio. Yeah. And we started broadcasting DJs via Twitch into cool. We did the Wednesday spin, but we don't have to go down that whole rabbit hole. But the thing is just always kind of stay a step ahead and don't get complacent, don't get too comfy. Because shit can happen, and 100%, everything changes. So just be nimble, be ready to pivot and explore different ways to stay above water and stay relevant or just present or in business. And that's it. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, Eddie, man. Shout out your social handles and all that good stuff.
So Eddie Mac LV on IG, Mac Agency LV also on IG. I think my Twitter is the same, or whatever it's called, X.
X now. I can't keep track of all the names
now. And that's stuff. It. Yeah, www.macagencylv.com. We launched a great new website with Uncaged Creative, who did a great job. Really thankful for them. And check out our artists, check out our events.
Beautiful.
Give us a holler.
Yep. Yeah. We appreciate you, Eddie, man. Check us out at VegasCircle.com. It's good to hang out with you, man. Great stuff, man.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
you, man. That was really good.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Man, you hit on